Achilles was a demigod destined for greatness. He was born to a sea nymph and a king. And like the legendary Heracles before him, he was trained by the centaur Chiron in hunting, music, and medicine. Meanwhile, his closest companion since boyhood was Patroclus, a mortal with no divine parentage or lofty prophecies tied to his name. Despite these differences, the two loved one another unconditionally. But when Greece declared war on Troy, Achilles was called upon as a crucial weapon. Helen, the wife of a Greek king, had vanished to Troy with Pyrrha, a Trojan prince. An army of Greeks assembled, determined to retrieve her, and as war loomed, the gods themselves took sides and argued over the mortals' fates. Achilles knew the war was written into his destiny, and with horses borne from the west wind and a spear wrought from a mountain peak, he readied himself. But he wouldn't be alone. Patroclus was by his side. They sailed to Troy along with 1,186 ships and surged into battle. The Trojans were led by the formidable Prince Hector, brother of Paris and son of King Priam. But they were no match for Achilles, who held the upper hand for the Greeks with his striking skill. Some said Achilles was invincible because his mother dipped him into the Styx. Others said that she bathed him in ambrosia, the nectar of immortality. Despite his talent, the war wore on for 9 years, and internal conflicts crystallized. Early on, Achilles took a woman named Briseis captive, but the Greek army's leader, King Agamemnon, had grown jealous of Achilles and seized Briseis for himself. Incensed, Achilles went on strike, and the situation became dire without him. Patroclus witnessed the carnage firsthand, but still Achilles refused to fight. Panicked at the sight of the Trojans entering the Greek encampment, Patroclus urged Achilles to lend him his armor. The sight of Achilles alone, he argued, would drive the Trojans back. Achilles agreed, provided Patroclus avoid the gates of Troy, from which the god Apollo protected the city. Suiting Patroclus in the armor, Achilles prayed for his safe return. Leading a swarm of Greeks, the disguised Patroclus drove the Trojans away, and for a few precious moments, he felt as untouchable as Achilles himself. He hurtled towards Troy until Apollo struck him down, knocking away his armor. Hector seized the opportunity, claiming Patroclus' life and Achilles' armor. Overcome by guilt and grief, Achilles vowed not to bury his beloved until he was avenged. He threw himself into battle, leaving a trail of bodies in his wake. Soon, all Trojans had fled or perished. All but Hector, clad in the armor that had failed to protect Patroclus. Their spears clashed, but Achilles knew the armor's weak spot. With a deadly strike, he took his revenge. And yet, his grief and fury weren't satisfied. Achilles seized Hector's body. Denying him burial was a heinous offense, but nothing felt sacred anymore. He dragged the body behind his chariot, jeering at the Trojans all the while. At night, the ghost of Patroclus appeared to Achilles, warning that his death was imminent and asking that their bones be laid to rest together. Achilles agreed and tried to embrace him, but the apparition disappeared. Meanwhile, Priam, the Trojan king, was also tormented by grief. He finally resolved to go to Achilles and ask him for mercy. He kissed the hands that killed his son and offered payment for Hector's body. Together they wept and shared a meal. Achilles returned Hector's corpse, praying to Patroclus for forgiveness. And with little left to lose, he returned to battle, defeating even the most skilled warriors. But just as Patroclus had predicted, Achilles wouldn't live long. Paris struck his heel with an arrow that some say was guided by Apollo. The remains of Achilles and Patroclus were mingled for eternity, and the Greeks went on to win the war. But in the course of battle, each side lost some of the greatest heroes of their time, their zeal turning into heartbreak, even as their stories hardened into legend. But did
Achilles, welcome. I'm the Sibyl of Cumae, prophetess and avid reader of leaves. To clarify, you were just slain in the Trojan War. Sorry about that. It's normal to feel mixed emotions right now. But you will be immortalized as one of the greatest warriors ever. And you'll have endless distractions down here, so pros and cons. It gets a bad rap, but the underworld is actually a lovely place to live. It boasts historic charm and eccentric neighbors with eternal ties to the area. The community even has its own guard dog, Cerberus. Heel boy! Oh, sorry. I know that's a sensitive spot. Anyway, with Cerberus, you get 3 for the price of 1. He's just not a big fan of anyone leaving. And who would want to leave anyway? This is the Styx. It's like the subterranean Riviera. But you've been here before. It was the source of your almost complete invulnerability, of course. The underworld also features 4 other waterways: Acheron, the River of Woe; Cocytus, River of Wailing; Lethe, River of Oblivion; and Phlegethon, River of Fire, a great source of natural light. Now on your left, you'll see the Mourning Fields, inhabited by souls tormented by love. Quite an attractive place, really, when you're not in the throes of endless heartbreak. And without further ado, Elysium, the underworld's exclusive VIP section and your permanent home. Here you'll join the ranks of royalty and heroes. Cadmus over there once slayed a dragon. And Patroclus is around here somewhere, along with lots of other friends and foes. I'll let you two get reacquainted soon, but our tour wouldn't be complete without a quick whirl through the heart of Hades, Tartarus. Tisiphone here guards the portal. She's one of the legendary Furies and is particularly passionate about avenging murder. She never sleeps, so if you need anything, just ask. Tartarus is reserved for a select few who some might call the greatest sinners of all time. Take Ixion. He was once a king. When he didn't pay his wedding dowry, his father-in-law Dioneus stole his horses to get even. In retaliation, Ixion pitched Dioneus into a pit of fire. Ixion was banished, but Zeus miraculously took pity on him and invited him to a Mount Olympian feast. There, however, it soon became clear that the disgraced king was trying to seduce Zeus's wife, Hera. So, Zeus contrived a trap, a fluffy cloud that resembled Hera exactly. When Zeus had proof of Ixion having his way with the cumulus, well, you could say it was all Nimbus from there. That landed Ixion on the flaming wheel. Poor thing. Oh, and don't mind Tantalus here. He was part of the first generation of mortal, enjoying privileges like dining with the gods. Some say Tantalus stole ambrosia from Zeus. Others that he doubted the omniscience of the gods and cooked his own son into a stew to see if they would notice. Naturally, they did. And as eternal punishment, when Tantalus reaches for food, the branches grow taller. And when he stoops to quench his thirst, the water recedes. And here we have the Danaides. At their father's order, they beheaded their husbands on their wedding night. They They must fill this basin with water. But the trick is their jars are cracked, so it always just leaks away. Oh, but don't worry, no leaky appliances for you. Finally, our last stop on the tour is one of our loveliest vistas. From here, you can see the hill, where Sisyphus pushes his boulder day after day, only for it to roll back down again, all for trying to cheat death. As you can see, Achilles, the underworld is full of exciting amenities. Here you don't have to worry about brutal wars or painful cycles of revenge. You can finally just put your feet up and relax.
A few moments later.